Good morning, ladies. Happy Monday. I hope you all had a fantastic weekend. I have to say I had the best weekend celebrating my cousin, my little cousin, actually my second cousin, getting married in Canmore, and it was a whole shindig of celebrations and hangouts with families, and yeah, my social battery is drained, but my heart is super full. And today's live, I want to talk all about protein. And I briefly started talking about protein last week. I shared a Midlife Women in Protein document, or Protein 101 document. It is that important, and that's why I spend so much freaking time talking about it. So you're in my kitchen because I want to kind of give you a visual of what it looks like. Yes, I do weigh my food majority of the time to make sure that I get plenty of protein in because of its importance. And I do stick to a lot of the same protein sources. So I know, because I've been doing this for years and years and years, I can almost eyeball portions and know that I am getting enough. I weigh 160 pounds. So if I am to calculate the protein amount for myself, it's either 0.8 to 1 gram per pound of body weight is what you want to aim for. You can eat more protein. And often, if you are in a calorie deficit, if you are in a fat loss phase, if you want to lose a little bit of body fat, I may actually increase your protein above that 1 gram per pound of body weight. I know for myself, my coach will give me the goal of about 175 to 180 grams of protein. I don't necessarily recommend going much higher than that, just because then you can get digestive issues. Protein is a hard macronutrient to break down, and it actually requires more energy to break down, which is really freaking cool. There's something called TEF, or the thermic effect of food, or thermic effect of feeding, where you will actually utilize more calories by eating a higher protein diet. So that is pretty cool. Plus, it just keeps you full for longer periods of time. It decreases calories. It keeps your energy levels stable. It keeps your blood sugar balanced. There's just tons of benefits to it. So if you are just tracking your protein, I think that is fantastic. So for myself, I'm just going to go over a day of eating for myself. I just logged my protein, and of course other foods do have protein, meaning if you are logging peanut butter, for example, that's predominantly a fat, but it does have protein. So as you're logging your food, everything you eat will add up to a little bit more protein, but I want to stick to simply primarily protein sources. So I'm going to start with my breakfast. I eat 3 eggs. So I just got my whole carton here, but I eat 3 eggs for breakfast. I should get a larger plate actually, but we'll see if we can make this work. I eat 3 eggs for breakfast. I have my protein coffee here. I add 1 scoop of collagen, which has 9 grams. I add half a scoop of ATP. Half a scoop would be 15 grams, which is what I do. And so that is 12 grams of protein. My breakfast, all in all, is 50 grams of protein. I don't recommend that any of you eat less than 30 grams. If you can get 40, 50 grams of protein in your breakfast, you're doing freaking amazing because then you're not having to catch up at the end of the day. So we've got my protein coffee, my eggs for breakfast. I usually eat, I'm having a toast and peanut butter. Sourdough has protein. My peanut butter has protein. That's why my entire breakfast ends up being about 50 grams of protein. I'm gonna show you what about 155 grams looks like. Now for lunch, so I prepped chicken. Yesterday we got back from Calgary. I did my food prep. We went straight to the grocery store, even though I didn't want to. So chicken breast. If we are going according to just hand measurements, typically just to eyeball it, it is the palm, size of the palm of your hand and thickness of your hand. So I like to eat in and around 125 to 150 grams of protein at one serving. So we're gonna grab this bad boy. It's a thick piece. As you can see, it's thicker than the palm of my hand. But we are going to measure this, and it is 121 grams. So pretty darn close. 4 grams less than what I would typically eat. So I am pretty particular. I would just take another little piece of a chicken breast and make sure that I'm eating enough. But you can see if you're not weighing your food, how your hand can be a really good source. I am having burgers for dinner. I pre-bought these because we were in a rush. We came home late from Calgary. I wanted to food prep because that's just a non-negotiable for me. So I also typically eat about 125 to 150 grams of protein. Now, if I were to grab this and measure it against my hand, it's pretty darn close, right? So let's measure this because I'm wanting about 125 grams. It is 108. So I would need a little bit more to make sure I'm getting about that 125 grams. This is 145, but we're not getting super duper fancy. I just want to show you kind of what 155 grams of protein looks like, which is maybe on the higher end, but it's just giving you a visual of ultimately what that looks like. So I eat 3 main meals, big meals. I'll also have vegetables. I've got green beans, I've got cauliflower, I've got potatoes prepped. I also keep frozen vegetables in my freezer at all times so I can just quickly heat them up on the stove and then off I go. I eat a ton of fruit. So those are my carb sources. I'm looking at bananas. We have cherries. We have grapes. We also have apples. I will typically eat 3 to 4 servings of fruit and then vegetables on top of that. My non-negotiable for me is like 5 servings of fruits and vegetables every single day. Also eat a carrot every single day as well. But we're talking about protein today. I'm gonna do the whole shebang next week. Creamies. I have a creamy maker. You do not have to buy a creamy maker in order to make sure that you get your protein in, but this has Greek yogurt. I try to be as lactose free as possible just for my own health and digestive issues. So Greek yogurt. This also has a scoop of protein powder as my protein. And if you didn't have a creamy, you could easily mix Greek yogurt with some protein powder, top it with berries. That's exactly what's in here. Blend it up, Greek yogurt, some coconut milk for my fat, as well as protein powder and berries, and a little bit of pudding mix because that's what makes it nice and creamy and delicious. But like I said, you don't necessarily have to have a creamy in order to hit your protein goal. I'm just showing you what that ultimately looks like. So for me today, in terms of protein, this is what I'm eating for protein. So I've got my creamy here. I've got 3 eggs, some beef, some chicken. Hopefully you can see that without cracking the eggs. And then I've got my protein coffee here, which has 12 plus 9. I don't do math, but you can do the math. So there's quite a bit of protein in that coffee there. And that's how I hit 150 grams for myself. Now, depending how many times a day you eat, you can split up your protein per meal. So if you're aiming for 150 grams and you eat 3 main meals, pretty easy math. That means you're just eating 50 grams per meal. Now, I showed you all, or I sent this all to you last week. It is a Protein 101 document. And on the last page, I showed different amounts of protein sources and how much you need to equal 30 grams, close to that 30 grams. So obviously, if you're aiming for 50 grams per meal, you need more than what is listed here. And I hope that makes sense. It doesn't have to be confusing. Like, I really tried to simplify it in this document here. 4 to 6 like palm size portions is ideal, but of course it doesn't always work for things like Greek yogurt, cottage cheese. And as an example, if you're using cottage cheese, you need about 260 grams of cottage cheese to equal 30 grams of protein. So I'll say that again. You need to weigh out about 260 grams of cottage cheese to get 30 grams of protein, which is 1 serving. This whole container is 450. So you're looking at, this is like a little over 2 servings of protein in this entire container. And that just gives you, again, an idea of like how much you need to eat, or you should be eating, in order to support your health goals, muscle gain, body fat reduction, if that indeed is your goal. And then I'll show you Greek yogurt. So we need to eat 300 grams of Greek yogurt to achieve a serving of protein, which is in and around that 30 grams. Well, this is 750. So this is also just a little over 2 servings of Greek yogurt. Now, if you're adding protein powder to it, then it goes a lot longer, right? Because you're basically maybe even doubling the amount of protein depending on how much powder you're adding to it. And that's what I ultimately do for my creamies or smoothies or yogurt bowls as well. As I'm saying this, I'm like, ooh, I hope that didn't just go over your head. I really wanted to try to give you a visual of what that could look like. So I will leave you with that today. If you have any questions, make sure you let me know. And next week I want to go over just how to put together a balanced meal, what that looks like with protein, fiber, carbs, fat, all that good stuff. All right, have a great day, and I'll see you soon.